Welcome to another episode of Tutorials with Ike. Today, still under linear functions, you're going to be looking at demand and supply analysis. So I'm going to take a question to let you guys understand this very well. I'm sure most of you have basic knowledge of demand and supply from accounts, but unfortunately for this particular course, you don't need to know a lot about it. They'll just give you some values for you to calculate some few things. And some of the things they might ask you to calculate is for the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity. You get it, and the producer and consumer surplus and all that. So I'm going to take a question and it which contains all the questions they can ask you. You get it. So I will see how I would answer it should a question come from it. So now let's take this question from the slide. So it says AFB Company Limited is a company that was set up in June 2020 that produces a fertilizer known bedrock fertilizer. Among the competitors of your product are Asaseria Fertilizer from Yara Ghana Limited. As an expert in the marketing of fertilizers, you have been poached from Yara Ghana Limited to oversee the marketing of these new products. For you to make informed decisions and advise the board appropriately, you engaged an economist who estimated the demand equation for your firm's product. The economist used data from 549 cocoa farmers around the country for the month of January 2021 to estimate a demand curve for your product as KD plus 0.25p minus 12 is equal to 0. In addition, the economist also estimated the supply function for your product as 4QS minus 2P is equal to negative 6. Then the question says A. Determine the equilibrium level of prices and quantity demanded. B. Represent your answer graphically. C. Determine the welfare of economic agents. D. Suppose the government imposes a tax of 6 cedis on every bag sold. Determine the new equilibrium price and quantity. E. Show how the economic agents share the tax. And F. What is the amount of government tax revenue? So if a question should come under demand and supply analysis, when you check the past questions, they are always like this, something similar to this. So you just need to know how to answer it, that's all. So how do we answer a question like this? Now, almost all the information they're giving you in the question is not really important. You get it. But then let's start with A. So the A says determine the equilibrium level of prices and quantity demanded. So from the question, they've given you two functions or two equations, which is the demand and the supply. So for the demand function, you were given, this one was given to us in the question already. So that's the first one. They said QD plus 0.25p minus 12 is equal to 0. So this is the demand function. Then let's go to the supply. As for the supply, they've also given it to us in the question. It says 4QS minus 2p is equal to negative 6. So this is the demand function and the supply function. If they've not stated it in the question that this is the demand function and the supply function, anytime you see anything with KD, just know that that's the demand function. Once you see D represents demand. Anytime you see QS, is the supply function. You get it. S represents the supply. So if they don't state in the question, just know that's how you go about it. So the A says determine the equilibrium level of prices and quantity demanded. And you need to always know that at the equilibrium level, the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. You get it. So just put it in your head. Anytime you see equilibrium, just put it in your mind. Quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. What that means is that if you want to get the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity, you have to equate both of them. You get it? Because you want to get one price and one quantity demanded. So let me just write it here. So at equilibrium level, or at equilibrium, the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. You get it? If the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied, it means you are getting just one quantity. So it's also equal to the quantity. You get it? So please put this in your head. Always remember in exams everywhere, at equilibrium, quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. It's also equal to the quantity. Because at the end of the day, you are talking about quantity. So if QD is equal to QS, then it means you are just getting one quantity. Just put that in your head. Now, since we know that the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied, it means this equation can be equal to this equation. So now if I want to solve it, there are a lot of ways you can solve it. but then you can just rearrange them and solve it simultaneously. You get it? So we'd also use this topic to learn how to solve equations simultaneously. So now if you want to solve it, there's an easy way of doing it. Since the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied, which is here, the KOD is equal to the quantity supplied, you can just write it at the same place because now they are the same. You get it? Then you send all the numbers after the equal sign. You get it? So now we have KOD. For the first equation, we have KOD plus 0.25p minus 12 is equal to 0. So I can just send the 12 to this side. So now I have this for the demand equation. So KOD plus 0.25p. Then make sure always the numbers come after the equal to sign. So it's equal to 12 because it's negative 12. But when it crosses the equal sign, it becomes positive. You get it? So this is for the demand equation. Now let's go to the supply. So for the supply too, we have 4 kS. This is what is in the question. 4 kS minus 2p is equal to negative 6. For this one, the K is already here, the negative 2p is already here, and the number is already after the equal sign. So now what do? You can solve them simultaneously. Since KD is equal to QS is equal to Q, then what that means is that this and this are the same. So now I can just say Q plus 0.25p is equal to 12. You get it? So I don't need to say QD again because QD is equal to Q. Then QS is also equal to Q. So I can just say 4Q minus 2p is equal to negative 6. You get it? Because they are the same. Then you solve it simultaneously. So this is from this side. Then this 4Q is from this. You get it? So when we solve this and this simultaneously, you can just do it on the calculator. So when you go on the calculator, you just press mode, then press 5, which is equation EQN, then press 1. Then this one, so we are solving this and this. Let me just clean this one so I don't get confused. So we are solving this and this simultaneously. So the coefficient of Q is 1. So you press 1. Then you press is equal to the coefficient of this P is 0.25. So you press 0.25. Then it's equal to the 12. So you press the 12. Then press is equal to the coefficient of Q here is 4. So you press 4. Then it's equal to the coefficient of P here is negative 2. You press negative 2. Then it's equal to negative 6. Negative 6. So when you punch it on the calculator, for x, you are getting 15 over 2, and y, we are getting 18. So x is always the first value. So since x is 15 over 2, we can say Q is equal to 15 over 2. So in the calculator, they are not going to give you P or Q or anything, but then just know that the first one is always the x, so that's the Q. So our Q is 15 over 2, or 7.5. Then our y, or our P, is 18. So our P is equal to 18. Get it? So always, anytime I give you the question, make sure Q is always under Q. It's always Q, Q, P, and P. Then it's equal to the numbers. So you rearrange it. You get it? So now since we got the Q and the P, we got our equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity demanded. Or the equilibrium quantity. You get it? So our equilibrium quantity, which is the Q, is 7.5. And our equilibrium price is 18. You get it? So if they give you the question, just rearrange it and solve them simultaneously. That's how you get the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity. I hope you get it. Now let's move on to the next question. What does the question say? It says represent your answer graphically. So we've already got the Q and the P. So we can just represent it on the graph. So how do we do it? So now if you want to represent it on a graph, we just draw the axis, the x-axis and the y-axis. So for the y-axis, always the y-axis is the P. You get it? And the x-axis is always the quantity. You get it? So what is our P? Our P is 18. So let's assume it's somewhere here. Then our Q, or the quantity, is 7.5. So you assume it's somewhere here, 7.5. Then you just join it. So you've got the equilibrium price and the quantity, so we just join it. That's how we go about it. So we are done with the B, where it says we should represent our answer graphically. Now we can move on to the C. The C says we should determine the welfare of economic agents Now, anytime you hear economic agent, it means the consumer surplus and the producer surplus. Now, let me explain both of them. Now, when we talk about the consumer surplus, let's assume you are going to buy maybe an iPhone and you budget, let's say, 5,000 cedis. That's how much you have, or you know you are going to spend 5,000 cedis. But then you go to the Apple store or anything, then when you get there, you're able to, maybe they tell you that it's maybe 6,000 cedis, but you're able to bargain with the seller and everything. Then he gives it to you for 4,000 cedis. But remember, you budgeted 5,000 cedis. So since you budgeted 5,000 cedis, and at the end of the day, you got the iPhone for 4,000 cedis, it means you have an excess of 1,000 cedis. You get it? So that 1,000 cedis is what we call the consumer surplus. It's like a surplus. You didn't intend on buying the phone for 4,000 cedis. But then since you're able to bargain, you now have 1,000 cedis. So that's what we call the consumer surplus. Now, when we talk about the producer surplus, it's just the opposite. Now, assuming you are selling something, you're a producer, you're selling something, and maybe you plan on selling it for, let's say, 1,000 cedis, you get it. But then someone comes to you, realize that, oh, maybe the person is rich and all that. Then you end up selling it to him for, let's say, 1,500 cedis. So that 500 cedis, that extra 500 cedis becomes your surplus. You get it? Because you're not planning on selling 1,500 cedis. So it's more like a profit that you are getting. So that's what we mean when you say consumer surplus and producer surplus. So anytime you see the welfare of economic agents, it means the producer surplus and the consumer surplus. That's all. So now to find the welfare of economic agents, what we have to do is that in the first equation, which is the demand equation, we let K be equal to 0. You get it? Then we find the P. Then we do same for P. We let P be 0. Then we find for Q. Then we also do same for the supply equation. We let Q be equal to 0. Then we find P. Then we let P is equal to 0. Then find Q. That's how we go about it. Now, after you are done, you let me just do that part first and I show you how we do the rest. So let me clean this one for now. So just put it in your mind that for the equilibrium quantity, we got 7.5 and the equilibrium price, we got 18. We've already solved for that one. So now the welfare of economic agents. So the first thing we are going to do is that we let Q be equal to 0 in the first equation, then we find P. So now for the demand equation, if we let Q be equal to 0, Q is the same as QD, you get it. It means this part will go. So 0 plus 0.25p minus 12 is equal to 0. So we end up getting 0 plus, because QD is now 0, get it? 0 plus 0.25p minus 12 is equal to 0. Then we find for P. So in finding for P, we can say 0.25p is equal to, we can let 12 come to this side. So it's no more negative 12, it's now 12. And since 0.25 is multiplying P, we divide both sides by 0.25. So this will cancel this. Then we are getting P is equal to, so 12 over 0.25. We are getting 48. So our P will be equal to 48. Get it? So now let me just bring it down here. So this is the equilibrium quantity and the equilibrium price. Then now for the demand functions, let me just write it for demand. Our P is equal to 48. So this is for the demand, where we made Q be equal to 0. Now we can also let P be equal to 0. So we find for Q. So when we do that, so when we let P be equal to 0, it means to be 0.25 times 0. So this part should be cancelled. So we have Q D minus 12 is equal to 0. Because P is now 0. You get it? So you have QD is equal to 12. So our Q will now be equal to 12. You get it? So now for the demand, Q is equal to 12, then P is equal to 48. Now we can do same for the supply equation. So for the supply equation, we let Q be equal to 0, or QS be equal to 0, then we find P. So let's QS or Q be equal to 0. So that means to be 4 times 0. So here we go. So you have negative 2p is equal to negative 6. So you divide both sides by negative 2 to let p stand alone. So this will cancel this. So p will be equal to 3. Negative 6 over negative 2 will be equal to 3. You get it? So our p will be 3. This is for the supply. So our P will be equal to, let me write it at the top so that you guys see it. So our P will be equal to 3. So then we do the same for the P. We let our P be equal to 0 so that we find Q. So let's do that. So now let P be equal to 0 in the supply equation. You get it. So now if P is equal to 0, it means 4QS minus, so L becomes 0. So 4QS is equal to -6. We divide both sides by 4. Divide both sides by 4. So our Q will be equal to -3/2, right? Yes, so we have Q being equal to -3/2. Okay, so now after doing all that, for now the quantities, we now have 3. We have the equilibrium quantity to be 7.5. And for the demand function, when we made P0, the quantity we had 12. And for the supply function, when we made P0, we had -3/2 or -1.5. -1.5 is the same thing. You get it? So now for the quantities, we have 3. You get it? And when we come to the price, we also have 3. The equilibrium price, we got 18. You get it? When we created both of them. The way we made K be 0 in the demand equation, we had P is equal to 48. You get it? The way we made K be 0 in the supply equation, we had P is equal to 3. So anytime you are given a question like this, when you want to find the welfare of economic agents or the producer and the consumer surplus, you always have to get 3 quantities and 3 prices as well. You get it? The first one would be the equilibrium quantity, then the equilibrium price, then get the price and the quantity in the demand and the supply. You get it? When you make the price 0, when you also make the quantity 0, you get it? So always you get 3 quantities and 3 prices. Now the next thing you do is that you plot these 3 on the graph. Then that's how you can find the consumer and the producer surplus. So now let me draw them on the graph so that you understand what I'm saying. So now for the quantities, you realize that we have 3 quantities and we have 3 prices. You get it? So now we can draw them on the graph. So we draw the 3 of them on the graph at the same time. You get it? So this is our y-axis. Our y-axis is always our P or our price. Then the x-axis is always the quantity. So put it in your head, the y-axis is always the P, then the x-axis is always the quantity. You get it? So now let's start drawing. So we start with the equilibrium quantity and the equilibrium price. So for the equilibrium quantity, we got 7.5. So let me just put it here. We had 7.5 for the equilibrium quantity. Then for the equilibrium price, we got 18. So 18. So for that one, you draw straight lines. Always put it in mind. The equilibrium quantity and the equilibrium price. You draw a line to meet them. You don't just rule a straight line like that. You draw a line to this side, then you draw one to this side as well. You get it? Then here is where we call the equilibrium points, where the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity meet. You get it? So you just draw short dashes to meet them. So now you're done with the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity. So for the demand, when we made the price 0, for the quantity we got 12. So we also punch it on the graph. So the quantity we got 12. And when we also made the quantity 0, the price we got 48. That's for the demand function. So the price was 48. So for the demand, when we made price 0 in the demand function, the quantity we got 12. So I'll put it here so you guys can see it clearer. Then for the price, we got 48. You get it? So now we just connect both of them. So we connect the 48 to the 12. So when we connect the 48 to the 12, we're getting something like this. You get it? So this is for the demand function. So 48 and 12. And when we made the quantity 0 for the price in the supply function, we got 3. So for the quantity, which is -1.5, it has to come somewhere here. So somewhere like this, -1.5. Then our price was 3. So the 3 can be somewhere here. Then we connect both of them. So you can do something like this. Mine is not too straight, but it's supposed to be like a bit straight. You get it? So you are getting something like this. So this is the equilibrium quantity, sorry, the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity. You get it? Now the second one, the demand function, when you substitute the values, you get 12 and 48. So that's the 48 and the 12. Then for the supply function, when you substitute the values, you get 3 and negative 1.5. That's how you go about it. Now that you have this, you can find the consumer surplus and the producer surplus. And a lot of people have challenges when it comes to this part. So I'll take my time and explain it. Now let's start with the consumer surplus. So I'm just making a CS. So for the consumer surplus, the formula is half times base times height. It's half times base times height because it is a triangle. This is the part that represents the consumer surplus. You get it. This is the part that represents the consumer surplus. This triangle here, that's the consumer surplus. You get it. So the reason why it's half times base times height because it's a triangle. You get it. And the formula for calculating the area of a triangle is half times base times height. You get it. So half times b times h. So when we take this triangle, this is the base, this side. And the base is from 0. Here is 0 to this side. So that would be 7.5. So we have 1 over 2 times the base, which is 7.5. Then the height, this is the height of the triangle. So the height is from here to here. So from 18 to 48. So we can just subtract 48 minus 18 to get the height here. So times into bracket 48 minus 18. You get it? So we just punch all this on the calculator. 1 over 2 times 7.5 times into bracket 48 minus 18. And you should be getting 112.5. So this is our consumer surplus. You get it? 112.5. So always when you draw it, it's half times the base, this side. Then you subtract this and this. You get it? That's the consumer surplus. We can use the same method to find the producer surplus. The formula for the producer surplus is also, so I'll do it PS, is also half times base times height, or half BH. And this is the area that represents the producer surplus. So the half times the base. And the base is this side. You get it. The triangle has been turned the other way around. So it's this side. And this side is also 7.5, 0 to 7.5. So the base is 7.5. So here was supposed to be h. So half times base times height. Get it? Then for the height, this is the height now. You get it? So from here to here. So from 3 to 18. So you can just multiply times into brackets 18 minus 3. You can subtract this and this to get the height. So 1 over 2 times 7.5 times 18 minus 3. And when you do that, you should be getting 56.25. So that is your producer surplus. So that's how you go about it. Anytime I ask to calculate the consumer surplus, just know that the consumer surplus is always this side. The producer surplus is always this side. Then it's the half times the base times the height. So now we are done with that. That's for the C, yes. So now let's move on to D. So D says, suppose the government imposes a tax of 6 cedis on every bag sold. Determine the new equilibrium price and quantity. So let me clean the board so that we can do it. Now just put this in your head. Anytime they say a tax has been imposed, you always subtract it from the price in the supply equation, not the demand equation. You get it? So in the question, they gave us 2 equations. The first one was, so this is directly from the question. So QD plus 0.25p minus 12 is equal to 0. Then the supplied equation, they give us 4QS minus 2p is equal to negative 6. So this is the demand and the supply equation. And I'm saying that anytime a tax is imposed, you always subtract it from the supply equation, not on the demand equation. You get it? And how do you know the supply equation? The one that has the QS. QS is quantity supplied. So the one that you see is, you always subtract it from that one. You get it? So now They said a tax of 6 cedis. So you subtract it from the price. So our new supply equation will no more be this. It will be 4 KOS minus 2 into brackets P minus 6. So this is our new price, not P. You subtract the 6 from the P here. You get it? So if here was negative 3P, it would be negative 3 into brackets P minus 6. If here was negative 4P, it would be negative 4 into brackets P minus 6. You always subtract the 6 from the P and always bring the bracket as well so that you don't make any mistake. So now we have 4 KOS minus 2 into brackets P minus 6. Then it's equal to negative 6. That side doesn't change. So this becomes a new supply equation when the tax has been introduced. So now to find the new equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity when the tax has been introduced, which is the 60 here, this is a new supply equation. You get it? But mind you, when the tax is introduced, the demand equation doesn't change. It's only the supply that changes. Keep it in mind. When a tax is introduced, the demand equation does not change. Only the supply one changes. You get it? So our demand equation is still going to be KOD plus 0.25p minus 12 is equal to 0. This is still going to be our demand equation. So only the supply equation that is going to change. You get it? So for the supply equation, we can just simplify this. So we have 4 KOS, then minus 2p, negative 2 multiply p, so minus 2p, then plus 12. Negative 2 times negative 6, negative, negative, positive, plus 12 is equal to negative 6. So this becomes our final supplied equation when the tax is introduced. So now what do? We just solve both of them simultaneously. So we can bring the 12 to this side. So QD plus 0.25p is equal to 12. So let me just write it below here. QD plus 0.25p is equal to 12. So you can just punch this on the calculator. Okay, we still have 12 here, so you can send this 12 to this side. So we have 4 KOS minus 2p is equal to negative 6 minus 12. Then we have negative 18. So let me just clean here and write negative 18. So this is our new supplied equation. Then our demand equation is here. So we have the demand, then the supply. So for the demand equation, it has still not changed. The only thing I did was to bring the 12 to this side so you can solve it simultaneously. You get it? The supplied equation too is the same thing here. I just expanded it. So that's what we have here. So we have the demand equation, which is here. Then we have the supplied equation, which is here. So you solve this and this simultaneously. So now we do it on the calculator. So you click on mode, then click on 5, then click on 1. So the coefficient of this one is 1, then plus 0.25p, so 0.25, and it's equal to 12. Then for this one, we have 4 is equal to negative 2. So just the coefficient is equal to negative 18. So when you solve it on the calculator, for the equilibrium quantity, you are getting, so that's the x, you see it as x on the calculator, so that's the equilibrium quantity. It will give you 13 over 2 or 6.5. So we can just write 6.5. Then the price, the equilibrium price, you are getting 22. 22. Yes, when you solve it on the calculator, this part represents the x, the KO part, so 6.5 and 22. So this is our final answer for that one. So the new equilibrium price and the new equilibrium quantity when a tax is imposed, a tax of 60, this is the answer we are getting. Now we move on to the E. The E says, show how the economic agents share the tax. Show how the economic agents share the tax. The economic agents are the producers and the consumers. The producers and the consumers. So now how do we know how they share the tax? So how do we know how the economic agents share the tax? Now we have the new equilibrium price and the quantity. So if we want to know how they share the tax, we can use the price. Now remember, our new price is 22 and our old price was, when we solved for the first equilibrium price, I think we were getting 18. Yes, so our first price was 18. So old price. So the old price is equal to 18. But when the government introduced the tax for the same commodity, we are now paying for 22 cedis. What does that mean? It means for the consumer, you are paying a tax of 4 cedis, which is 22 minus 18. So the consumer's tax is equal to how much you were paying first. You were first paying 18 cedis, but now you are paying 22. So when the tax was introduced, you are now paying 22. So the 22 minus how much you were paying first, which is 18. So you are getting 4 cedis. So it means now the consumer is paying 4 cedis. So if the consumer is paying 4 cedis, then straight away you can see the producer is paying the rest of the 2 cedis because it's 6 cedis. And the consumer is paying 4. So the producer's tax is equal to 2 cedis. So 4 cedis, 2 cedis. So that's how they share the tax. You get it? So always this is how you go about it. If you want to see how they share the tax, you compare the new equilibrium price to the old equilibrium price. You get it? They subtract it. If there's a price difference, it means the consumer is the one paying that one. Then the rest will be paid by the producer. That's how you go about it. Now let's look at the last question. The last question says, what is the amount of government tax revenue? The amount of revenue the government is making. So how do we calculate the revenue? So we all know that, let me clean this part. The revenue is equal to the price times quantity. From accounts, total revenue is equal to the price times the quantity. And the price here is the tax. You get it? How much the government is charging you. That's the government's price. So how much is the tax? The tax is 6 cedis. It's in the question. The question says if the government imposes a tax of 6 cedis, so that would be the government's price. Then the quantity is the new equilibrium quantity after imposing the tax. So the new equilibrium quantity is 6.5. You get it? So 6 times 6.5. When you do it on the calculator, you are getting 6 times 6.5. 39. So that is how much the government is making, 39 cedis. So yes, you are done with that particular question. So if a question is going to be given to you on demand and supply analysis, it's always going to be like this when you check the past questions. So you just need to know how to answer it and all that. Maybe later on we'll solve some more questions so you guys will understand it. Thank you very much for watching today's video. The next video, we're going to look at quadratics. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And I'll see you in the next video.